Hello student, I am Professor Devashish Bose, Head, Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. Today I am going to present a lecture of Scene of Crime, Part 4th, BSc 3rd semester on the unit Criminalistics, which has been jointly prepared by myself and Mr. Giriraj Sharma, a PhD scholar and a UGC JRF at Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar. Let's start our discussion while taking a look at what we are going to learn today. Today, in Module 1, we will look at Introduction to Physical Evidence, Module 2, Type of Physical Evidence, Module 3, Requirement of Physical Evidence in Investigation, Module 4, Use of Physical Evidence in Investigation, Module 5, Electronic Evidences with Special Reference to Digital Forensic, Module 6, Case Study, and finally, Module 7 will be our conclusion. Dear student, today we will look at another important lecture on physical evidence. As we know that physical evidence are the soul of any crime or crime scene. Once they are contaminated by the investigating officer or anyone, investigating officer cannot reveal the truth because by the time they are spoiled and destroyed. Moreover, physical evidence will provide wrong information, so it is very necessary for the investigating officer once they are located at crime scene. There should be tremendous effort to preserve them, to collect, to handle, to label and to transport them. Basically, every crime scene works on the principle of exchange that states about the exchange between two things. Now, you will be thinking what type of exchanges happen there. Let's make me more clear. Just go to your flashback or remember that incidents in which you might have forgotten something, suppose at your friend's party or at a classroom in your school or college. We know very well what had happened. We forget maybe the identity card, the homework copy, and the other thing is that we bring some things unintentionally which are not required. We don't remember. So, don't think more about it because this is a natural process. Thus, this also occurs with the perpetrator. Also at the crime scene, one will leave something or get something from there. This is very important. Therefore, it was the depiction of the principle of exchange in simple words. So, let's have the definition of principal exchange that was given by Sir Edmund Locard. Every contact leaves traces, or in simple word, he said, when two objects come into contact with each other, a cross transfer of material occurs. That is, at this point, Sir Edmund Locard strongly believed that every perpetrator can be connected to a crime scene or crime by their footprint, fingerprint, hair, their clothes fiber or even dust particle or soil they carried to the crime scene or brought from the crime scene. So at this point, just remember, whichever place we are visiting, intentionally or intentionally, we are leaving something behind. And that could be the identity card that will help to identify that we were there at a particular time, at a particular date. You might have got some idea about the physical evidences. Now we will discuss in detail. Physical evidence is the part and parcel of crime by which crime can be solved in a scientific way. As we know that for running life, one need essential things like forensic science laboratories run on physical evidence. In addition to this, physical evidence are those objects or things that may establish that crime has or has not taken place or committed, or provide a clue about crime and criminal, or that can provide link between the perpetrator, physical evidence, victim, suspect or the crime scene. So, we can say that physical evidence are the best object for proving a crime. Moreover, the result from the physical evidence depends on the recognition of physical evidence, collection, handling, labeling and transportation of physical evidence. In addition to this, investigating officers should keep in mind while collecting the physical evidence because as we know that collection of physical evidence depend on the source of the physical evidence, such as one can collect physical evidence from scene of crime. Investigating officers should collect physical evidence from the victim and the surrounding environment, suspect and their surrounding environment. For the sake of simplicity, all the evidences can be divided into following 4 categories: testimonial evidence, demonstrative evidence, circumstantial evidence, and physical evidence. So let's start with one by one. First, we will see testimonial evidence. It is the crucial class of physical evidence that is more common among the physical evidences. Testimonial evidences occurs when witness tells their side of the story to the investigating officer and jury what did they observed or did at the crime scene. Moreover, they explain the things as such as what they had seen. As we know that this is more subjective in nature, and this is the subjective category of physical evidence. Moreover, witness statements are also subjective. So, subjective statement means it could be biased, it could be manipulated, or it could be cooked up. So, judgment can be also biased on the statement. On the other hand, physical evidences are objective in nature. They are based or they will not favor anyone or anybody. Next, we come to the second, demonstrative evidence. Dear student, now we will discuss about the demonstrative evidence that is not frequently used by a witness. Demonstrative evidences are those evidences which are not based on opinions. These evidences are generally presented by investigating officer or the forensic scientist at the court of law. In addition to this, beyond the physical evidence, investigating officer can demonstrate other things, but one should take the help of physical evidence. Without its help, they should not present them. Here, I would like to add one simple example of demonstrative evidence. For example, in a courtroom, forensic scientist could demonstrate a blood-stained cloth, how the blood stain got deposited on the cloth. Let me put another example. Forensic scientist can demonstrate how bullet traveled and hit the victim's body. So, defense and prosecution can present their own theory to prove them correct or wrong. Therefore, investigating officer and forensic scientist should be ready for all these steps to prove them wrong or prove them right. Next, we come to circumstantial evidence. Dear student, now we will be discussing about the circumstantial evidences. Circumstantial evidences are those evidence which are created due to the circumstance of the crime. As we know that these evidences provide the link between the suspect, victim and the crime scene. Moreover, these evidences are of different types of physical evidence in which investigating officer has to find out and provide the link among the facts. For the sake of understanding, let me put forward an example. Suppose A killed a person B at home. When inquiry was conducted at the time, the A told police that B went to the market and has simply not returned home yet. Police asked a question, why did he went to the market? Then A might have replied that for buying vegetable or something to meet someone. But when police officer inquired, then they found that day before yesterday, he went to the market to buy something or vegetables or meet that person. When police inquired over and over, they found his shoes were there, his clothes were there, and on further investigation revealed that A somewhere had told B is missing since last 10 days. In addition to this, when police searched the computer, they found different internet searches and websites that discussed about the manner of how to kill and how to dispose of a human body. So, on the basis of totality of the circumstantial, investigating officer can distinguish between the real and the fake story on the basis of circumstantial evidences. So, my dear student, I hope this example had clarified any doubt if you are having on the circumstantial evidences. With this, we come to our fourth type of or fourth category of evidence, physical evidence. Physical evidence as a proof sounds in the court of law in compared to other type of evidences. Moreover, court of law put more stock in the physical evidence. So, physical evidence are such type of evidence that do not lose their identification and individualization with passage of time. In addition to this, these evidences play a crucial role in the determination of crime by which investigating officer can prove the crime has been committed or not, and can even get more and more information from the physical evidence or give more information about the incident. Moreover, it links the suspect, victim and crime scene. Dear student, now we will study about the characteristics of the physical evidence. As we know that physical evidence can be characterized by its origin and uniqueness. For the sake of simplicity, characteristics of physical evidence can be divided into two parts. Class characteristics of physical evidence. Let's discuss it. As we know that this is the common characteristics of the physical evidence what depicts the whole class. For example, hair of people, fiber of the clothes. Now we come on to the next, individual characteristics of physical evidence. This is the second characteristics of the physical evidence. This is the individual characteristics of the physical evidence that makes them different from other or unique from the other group or class. These evidences link the suspect with the crime scene. For example, fingerprint, blood stain, DNA, etc. Dear student, now we will discuss about the category of physical evidence. For the sake of convenience, these physical evidences can be divided in following category: biological evidences, chemical evidences, toxicological evidences, pattern evidences like fingerprint, footprint, GSR, firearm and tool mark evidence, impression evidence, question document evidence, electronic evidence, drug as evidence. The evidences, the oral evidences or the eyewitness which we have discussed could not be relied upon because with the passage of time or with simple imagination, these evidences could be modified, could be changed or even could be imagined. So, as an investigating officer, one should rely only on the physical evidence, and all the above discussion which we had made indicates that physical evidence is the only evidence which is accepted at the court of law. I am not saying the other evidence are not important, so should discard them. No, they are the collaborative evidences which will connect the physical evidences with the scene of crime or with the evidences, oral evidences given by the witnesses. My dear student, now we are studying about the need of physical evidences. As we know that physical evidences are the only source by which we can punish the perpetrator or decide crime has been taken place or not and place suspect at the right place where he deserves to be. Moreover, physical evidences are 1,000 times better than that of an eyewitness. So, let's see the story behind the need of the physical evidence. Following are the reasons. Eyewitness can easily change their statement or could turn hostile, while physical evidence does not. Eyewitnesses can be biased, while physical evidence never. Eyewitnesses can be pressurized, while physical evidences can never be pressurized. Eyewitnesses could at any moment of time could turn hostile, or the another very important thing which generally prevails here is that you can easily victimize the eyewitness. But if not manipulated or the chain of custody is not broken, then physical evidence will always speak the truth. Now we shall discuss the use of physical evidence. As we have previously discussed, physical evidence plays a key role in the criminal investigation. So, this is the duty of the investigating officer to understand the value of physical evidence as well as the limitation of physical evidence. Basically, it depends on the skill and experience of the investigating officer. So, one should locate the physical evidence at right place. One should know the theory of evidence transfer, preservation of physical evidence, collection of physical evidence. As we know that crime scene contains tremendous type of clue at the crime scene in the form of physical evidences. Therefore, investigating officer should classify all the physical evidence in different class, otherwise he will be confused and misinterpret the extracted information. So, it is the knowledge and skill of investigating officer by which one can determine what type of physical evidences will most likely to be found at a certain type of scene of crime. Where to find the physical evidence at a particular type of scene of crime, how to recognize, etc., etc. Therefore, crime scene is the only place where all these things can be possible. So, for the sake of understanding, it can be divided into following parts: information on the modus operandi, information on the corpus delicti, identification of the suspect, to link the suspect, victim and the crime scene, providing investigative leads, reconstruction of crime scene, identification of unknown substances, disproving or supporting witness statement or testimony. My dear student, this is one of the most interesting topic in all points like investigation, collection, packaging, etc. So, first and foremost, we will understand the computer forensic. Cybercrime then will go for electronic evidence. As we know that in today's era, computer and mobile devices are the part and parcel of anyone's life, and these things are not new for much of the developed world. On the other hand, these items have increased at an exponential rate in very short period of time. As we know that the dependency of the human is increasing day by day as a result of computers and other electronic devices which can be found at crime scene. So, my dear student, now we will learn the definition of digital forensic that most probably came from the computer forensic. Computer forensic is the collection, preservation, analysis and presentation of electronic evidence for the use in a legal matter, forensically sound and generally accepted processes, tools and practices. So, digital forensic is the application of technology to court of law. So, now we will move for the collection and preservation of the electronic evidences with special reference to cybercrime. Thus, investigating agencies has created the procedure and protocol for the collection and preservation of electronic evidences. Therefore, as evidence is collected at crime scene, it must be preserved in the state that is defendable in the court of law. As we know that collection of physical evidences depends on the recognition of electronic evidences. So, let's start the procedure. First of all, the investigating officer should secure the crime scene so it cannot be contaminated by the people or other sources. From side to side investigation, investigating officer should identify the computer and whether it is a standalone system or attached to a network. If there is a crowd at crime scene, investigating officer should move all the people from the crime scene. Crime scene photographer should start the taking of photograph of the crime scene from different points. First of all, crime scene photographer should shoot the overview of the crime scene, then mid view of the crime scene and cross view of the crime scene. Crime scene photographer must decide the sequence of the photographs such as the room in which the computers or the electronic thing is located, any image on the screen of the computer, peripheral devices, cabling, internet connection, electricity connection and area surrounding the computer, media papers, manuals, books, racks, password, etc. Now, the investigating officer has to see the condition of the computer or that electronic gadget. If the computer is on, simply pull the power plug from the electric switch, or another thing is that if it is on and it appears as if a safe destruction program is running, immediately pull the power cord from the wall. This is very important. It is a first of its own kind in the world which was solved on the basis of the blood stain fingerprint and as a physical evidence. This is one of the important physical evidence. So, on 19th June 1892, a murder case took place. In this case, 2 children were murdered brutally at the outskirts of a town in the coastal area of Argentina. The victims were the illegitimate children of a 26-year-old woman named Francisca Rosa. During the time of investigation, local police found that late in the evening of the murder, Rosas had run into a neighbor's home. She was screaming, crying. She is screaming that he killed my children, he killed my children. Velasquez, he killed my children. The neighbors of Rosa immediately went to Rosa's hut and they found the children's skulls were smashed and they were lying in the pool of blood. On interviewing of Rosas, local police found that a man named Velasquez, who wanted to marry her, had visited. She had refused Velasquez's proposal several times in the past as she was not interested in him and wants to marry another man. Early on the day of the murder, Velasquez had also visited Rosas and had been very insisting for marrying him. After investigating all the facts, local police arrested Velasquez because the circumstantial evidences and the corroborative evidence of the witness shows that he was the culprit. But on the crime scene, they found a blood stain in the bed. It happened so, after arresting Velasquez, the police again visited the room or the hut where Rosa stayed. They found something brown color, a brown color spot on the bed sheet, which later comes out to be a blood stain fingerprint. So, the local police collected the fingerprint and matched it with the fingerprint of Rosa's. When this evidence was presented to her, she broke down and admitted that she had killed the child. So, I think with this, you have known the importance of physical evidence, because if not, then Velasquez could not be proved that he was not guilty and Rosa would be leading a normal life. Having finished this lecture, now we are going to conclude the lecture, as we know that in this lecture we have studied about the physical evidence and their classification. We have also learned that how physical evidence plays the utmost role in the criminal investigation. Moreover, we also learned the collection, preservation and handling of electronic evidence with special reference to digital crime. After studying this lecture, the students will be able to define what physical evidence is, how they affect crime, value of the physical evidence, use of the physical evidence at crime scene. In addition to this, we have also studied the need of physical evidences. With all these important information here, we come to the end of today's interesting lecture. Do keep in mind what we have discussed today. It's time for you all to do some self-study. This is Professor Devashish Bose signing off. If you want to learn more and enhance your knowledge, you may log on to our website for MCQs, quizzes and LORs at www.cec.nic.in. Till then, thank you and goodbye.